In the year 1998, the average yearly salary of a professional baseball player was around 36 million yen, or $270,000. This is the year the manga One Out starts, and we're introduced to our main character, Toya Toichi, where after a string of interesting events, he signs an unusual contract with a baseball team. For every out he got as a pitcher, he would be paid 5 million yen, or $38,000, and for every run he gave up, he would lose 50 million yen, or $380,000. According to the lowest earned run average at the time, from Satoru Kanemura in 1998 being at 2.7, in context of this contract, the best possible ERA would score you exactly 0 yen. And so how does the mysterious Toichi end his first year with a yearly salary over 27 billion yen? Yes, 27 billion, or approximately 202 million USD. This is the world of One Outs, and the crazy life of the genius gambler Toichi. One Outs is a sports-focused psychological battle manga where every turn is full of twists with mind tricks, traps, and all sorts of games that make it a thrill to read. But rather than spoiling any such things, I'll spend this video as an elevator pitch on why you should really check this series out, only going into specific plot details when absolutely necessary. One Outs follows a small cast of main characters being the Lycaon's team, but mainly focuses on the relationship of every match between Toichi and the star players from other teams. Whether it be the legendary cleanup hitter Kojima of the Lycaon's own team, the overwhelming power and intellect of the top team, the Mariners Ace Trio, or the world's fastest man on the Bugaboos, the treating tricks of the Blue Mars, it goes on and on. Toichi, the third-rate baseball player who has been thrown into what feels like a life-or-death match between the aces of each team, and he must use his skills as a first-rate gambler to make up for his faults and crush his opponents at every turn. Toichi uses his extreme intellect, strategies, next-level planning, and manipulation, along with many other skills he has gotten as a gambler to win his matches and leaves the reader in a state I can only describe. Such a state being a mixture of shock and hype, one where I spend the rest of the chapter in my head screaming, "There's no way he just did that." Or, "He didn't just do what I think he did he?" The fun thing is every time the answer is different, and because of his contract, this doesn't just stay on the field, because in face of these already pressing issues, a few more problems arise. First off, his team absolutely sucks. As the worst team in the league other than Kojima, every player has expectations of being at the bottom and are simply happy with making by rather than standing to be greater than last time. Secondly, the owner has a hate boner for Toichi for obvious reasons. He's making him broke, and he plays dirty tricks on Toichi in hopes of bankrupting Toichi and his one-outs contract. And against all odds, every single time Toichi pulls ahead, the situations he's put in, the geniuses he faces, the manga has a special ability to make these events seem impossible to fight against, and yet at the same time, we have confidence in Toichi to win despite the odds, and even make it look easy once everything is said and done. As the saying of the manga goes, nobody wins but I. This saying is a perfect subtitle to the manga because it's truly the simplistic mindset of Toichi, and the one that is brought on to be the king of gambling in the baseball world. As the ultimate psychological force on the field, he steals his victory despite the circumstances, and watching that unfold is the reason One Outs is a masterpiece in the psychological element of this manga. But the element that makes me fall in love with sports manga the most, and an odd strong point towards the end of the story that solidified this manga as one of my favorite, was the heart that it presented. One Outs does it well. I said it at the start of the video, but for the most part, One Outs is a one-man show, but that's not entirely true as we come into the second half. Toichi and his influence start to rub off on his team, and he starts to take almost the role of coach to these quote-unquote bad players, and draws out their full potential. For example, he helps a pitiful lackey unleash his world record fastball, getting a pro who had fallen into the pits of gambling back onto the field, or helping a monstrously strong but mentally disabled man hit it out the park. And I can go on and on. He creates a form of teamwork that doesn't follow normal sports conventions. It's almost like a 1990s Blue Lock, where a team of dirtbags need to get it together. He used money, manipulation, and love to get them to work together, not for the sake of teamwork, but for the sake of the team winning. It's peculiar. Through this, they rekindle their love for baseball, and their once far dream of winning a championship is now a possible reality. The way Toichi manipulates his team into becoming more powerful is hilarious, because it's just another mind game. They had champions inside of them. Toichi just brought it out. And it's that pursuit for their chosen sport of baseball that makes me in turn fall in love with it as well. During the heat of this manga, I was watching MLB clips in my bed at night, while before, I hadn't even seen a full game of baseball before playing t-ball as a child. Hard work paying off makes me want to go out and train. I remember going outside a jump rope thinking about this manga after reading it, just swinging hyped as hell. A good sports manga will do that to you. And one last aspect has to do with baseball in particular as a setting for the story. And that's the idea that baseball is unfair by nature, and is naturally a form of gambling. Much more than other sports, this was an interesting idea to me as Toichi talks about it. I can't find the exact quote or panel. Trust me, I've spent like 4 hours scanning the manga but gave up. But because of certain aspects in baseball, it becomes a gambling game in a much more intuitive way than other sports, and it perfectly fits the type of thriller-style main character and story this manga encapsulates. The events in the middle of the story where Toichi works to bring the potential out of his teammates is so entertaining because it works on the same mental level as Toichi, but they worked harder than him. They perfected their craft, and all it took was alleviating the mental block using Toichi's manipulation to make them whole again. It's examples like that give this manga the heart that makes my body shake. Lastly, and most commonly explored in the sports genre, is its hype. To put it simply, the feeling when Toichi is about to pitch a perfect game, and you're on the edge of your seat about to see if it's really possible. It's akin to when Hinata and Kageyama hit their set spike combo, or when Asagi devours his teammates to steal a goal, or when CC dives to the bottom of the ocean and becomes one with it. These are the hype-ass moments in manga and anime that make it worth our time. All in all, One Ounce is a great manga. The art is a bit troublesome for most, but it didn't really bother me after the starting chapters, so I would recommend giving it a little bit of time. I would give it the first 10 chapters in my opinion as the true full intro and see if it's up your alley. But if it fails to grab your attention, I would recommend Liar Game from the same author, as it's also a masterclass in storytelling. If you guys enjoyed the video, I would appreciate the like, and if you want to stick around for more, subscribe.